What is one word that you would use to describe Veterans Bridge Home?
The one word I would use is connectedness, support,
community,
camaraderie.
So the word that comes to mind, for Veterans Bridge Home is obviously the bridge or connection. The word that matters the most is community.
Compassion, connection, camaraderie, and possibility. Those are just 4 of the words used to describe Veterans Bridge Home. My name is Chris Fabiano, and today we will be diving into how VBH supports veterans across the Carolinas.
I personally served in the Army for 6 years as an infantry officer. I was commissioned in 2006, and then I completed my service in 2012.
I served in the Army for 4 years. I enlisted right out of high school back in 1986.
I am retired U.S. Coast Guard. I enlisted back in 1997 out of Chesapeake, Virginia.
I'm former Navy, retired after 30 years.
In college, I went to West Point and was commissioned as an Army officer in 1995.
Yeah, that's a tough time for many service members, myself included. VBH really was founded on supporting veterans and their families through that transition. That's really where our mission started.
Like most veterans, it'll be pretty hard to forget usually your first day and your last day in the military.
I got out before I was ready to because I had some health issues, and I had to just resume back at college and figure out what I'm going to do with my degree and my life and all those things. And you lose things that service members are accustomed to having, especially if they're active duty and this is their day in, day out life. They're used to having a mission, unit, a support, a team they can call on.
I had probably 7 or 8 different employers in a course of like 8-10 years. And all that to say, my transition, I still was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And what I did in the Navy was drove ships. How does driving ships and that attribute, those kind of attributes, help you place a job in like Wells Fargo or Ally Financial?
I certainly remember mine. I said goodbye to a couple of good friends who I served with at Fort Bragg and got in the car. It was a Friday, and I drove here to Charlotte, which became my home. I remember coming up over the hill and Independence Boulevard and seeing the Charlotte city skyline and realizing that the city, which I spent a few weekends in prior to getting out, was going to be my new home.
I had a kind of a 2-part transition. One was staying in place, also navigating away from military supports such as military medicine, to where now I had to find a doctor, I had to find someone that accepted my insurance, had to reestablish care.
I transitioned kind of like a dummy, frankly. What made a difference for me was getting over myself a little bit and accepting help. I didn't want anybody's help. I thought I could do it myself. And what I found was I was going to do the job myself. I had to go to the interviews by myself. I had to send the resumes by myself, but I didn't have to do all that background work by myself. And asking for help doesn't mean that you're helpless. It just means that there's somebody else who can, assist you along the way.
My role is the Chief Executive Officer or Executive Director. I've been with the organization since 2013, and since 2016 I've been the Executive Director. What does that mean on a day-to-day basis? I'm working in a variety of different facets. No day is quite the same. It's probably why I enjoy it. I think my role is just to help enable and empower folks. We have amazing care coordinators and community engagement specialists. We have awesome employment team leads, fundraisers, folks who are out there every day doing the work alongside our community and the veterans we serve. Yeah, great question. So the recent executive order by Governor Josh Stein, Executive Order 38, Strengthening North Carolina Military Communities, is all about alignment. It's making sure that local nonprofit organizations, county service offices, state agencies, all of them, and the VA are all working together. Governor Stein, his executive order proposed that there be state level coordination, and they asked that Veterans Bridge Home be involved in that announcement to reinforce the point that it really delivers care at the local level. Veterans and military families have so many resources, a plethora of them. In some cases, that's the challenge. That's almost the biggest challenge, which is navigating all of those different items. And when you have big federal, state, local, nonprofit, corporate entities all trying to care for veterans, that can become a little disorienting. And not super coordinated and organized. And so half of what our mission is to help organize those networks so that we can navigate them on behalf of military families. So by working with our state leaders like Governor Stein and Secretary Mitton-Omelette, we are helping drive that. And Veterans Bridge Home has been doing that since 2011, building those networks locally and across our region so that veteran and military families can thrive. So it's really critical. We're just honored to be a part of it.
You know, I tell people all the time that we're like a low-end Amazon. Amazon takes people who have things and people who want things, and they're the marketplace between the two. And we all know the value of that marketplace from a consumer standpoint, but it's the same for veterans who need services. There's providers out there and there's people who need them, and a lot of times they don't know each other exist. We're not creating any new services, we're not creating any new programs, we're not magic, so we can only serve through the community. But you know, our community has a ton of things out there.
Sometimes we're not able to deliver a service for someone, and that story is sometimes the most important thing I can do, which is, you know, letting our elected officials and others know where we're letting veteran and military families down. It's a hard story to tell. It's painful for sure, but it's necessary to make sure that we can fill gaps and make sure that doesn't become a systemic issue.
Well, I manage the care coordination team. We do the daily triage of veterans who are in need of assistance. You know, we reach out to those individuals on a daily basis, triage their situation, try to connect them to the best available resource in the least amount of time. When we can't find a local resource, we will also, you know, give them information on how to apply to some of the national resources.
When veterans or spouses come in looking for a job, that once we kind of brush up their resume or LinkedIn, their interview skills, which I will do a little bit of that through the week. Once the veteran or spouse is polished in that area, then they have to put their resume in front of an employer. So my typical day looks like developing relationships with employers, sometimes doing events, sometimes going to events, sometimes supporting events where employers are, and to make sure Veterans Bridge Home brand is out there. They know what we can do for them. And so it's really developing those relationships. There's a big charter here at Veterans Bridge Home to get connected to what we call the unaffiliated veteran. That is a veteran who's not plugged into services, not plugged into the VA. And lots of times those are veterans that are working for these employers. They have health care and they're good. We say around here, they're good until they're not.
One thing I have found myself saying more often to the vets I work with is, you know, vets very often tend to be stubborn, skeptical, and don't like asking for help. And when they do, it's very often at the 11th hour when things are on fire. You know, that's one thing, but if the concern is mental health and, you know, potentially concerns about suicide, I mean, that's a whole nother ballgame. And those types of supports and resources are incredibly important. And, you know, it's my job to make sure that through VBH that we have services in place to, you know, assist veterans and their family members, you know, should that come to be, that they have somewhere they can go with someone that understands where they're coming from, that has military cultural competency, that but also does understand the mental health system, both inside and outside of the VA. What the FOX program is, it's the Staff Sergeant Parker Gordon FOX Suicide Prevention Program. This is a suicide prevention initiative funded by the VA, where they are partnering with local organizations across the country who already have boots on the ground, working with veterans, doing suicide prevention work. And essentially it provides them a framework, a pathway, and funding in order to continue that work with improved coordination with the VA. The way our program is structured is it is a 6-month-long veteran peer-driven case management program. So, you know, I tell veterans, you know, we're not trying to replace your doctor or your therapist or anything like that. We are an additional layer to the onion and additional support. And we consider that upstream suicide prevention, because if we can help you connect to the resources you need to meet the goals you've set for yourself, well, generally suicide doesn't even really come into the question at that point.
The strength of the collective impact model is that you can harness the entire community behind the needs of one veteran. You can get all of what the community has, but bring it to bear on behalf of that one individual.
One of the doors we feel are open to veterans and spouses to walk in and to get coached to care, as we talk about, is our coffees and our lunches and our happy hours. So we're at a coffee at our headquarters that we have, and this veteran walks in. He came in, and this is typical for a lot of veteran spouses, that they come in looking for a service. And there's usually one or two services right behind that. So this gentleman continues to talk about how he came in and thought that's all he needed from VBH was a job. And he needed so much more. He needed mental health. He had a little PTSD. He needed a little bit of guidance on housing. He needed a little guidance on his disability benefits. We got him help there. All along trying to find a job. What a beautiful story that he touched 4 or 5 different services, hence the collective impact of different organizations that try to help a veteran meet them where they are. In his case, we helped him in housing, disability benefits, employment, mental health. I think we might even helped him with food and or the welcome home kits that we have for new home buyers, because we helped him, guide him into a grant that we had last year that helped new home buyers get into a house. And the alarming thing is that the veteran felt like it was too good to be true. That was the sad part. And there are organizations like VBH that are out to help, and sometimes the veterans just scratch their head and going, I don't know how it happened. I mean, I got all this and I got it from VBH. So he wants to continue to come around and share his story and share it with other veterans, and we're happy for that. The more ambassadors we have out there like that have touched our resources, the better.
If you're a veteran out there and you're looking at this and you're not sure if you should trust Veterans Bridge Home to help solve your problems, ask your friends. Reach out to people who have known us. Don't take our word for it. Take other veterans' word for it. We'll do our best to make sure that you continue to be successful out there.
Well, if there's one thing that you can count on, is that Veterans Bridge Home is committed to your success. Thank you for watching this video. All of the links and information are going to be in the description down below. And as always, I hope you have a great day. And is there anything else you want to add?
Be the bridge.